Hi, I'm Gerald Peplow, and those of you who know me, I was a teacher and I retired last year and I taught for 20 years. Well, early in my time, I was teaching trains. Now, all fourth graders have to go through the Transcontinental Railroad. They're supposed to understand the westward movement. So I was teaching that. But before I can tell you that story, I got to tell you another one. Well, I worked with a person named Roger Sasser, and Pat Sasser is his wife, and we were really good friends in England. Well, I took a trip from North Dakota to my home in California. So as I'm doing this, we're going through and taking the Lewis and Clark Trail and having a good time. We did not tell Pat and Roger that we were going to be coming. Well, we got to around where their base was, and then we said, well, why not? Let's go and say hi. Now, we didn't know where they lived. We were going to have to go to the base and find out. We didn't have a place to stay. It was just one of those whim things. Now, I know you've done that before. Well, of course, being lost in the area and not knowing what to do, the only place was to go into the BX. And there I could ask the people in the BX where I could go to get all this together. BX is a little store that's on the base. Well, as I walked in the door, this is not a lie, this is not exaggeration, Pat Sasser was standing there. We were floored. She didn't know we were coming. There's no way to describe how we felt. Well, of course, we got to have dinner with our friends and stay the night there. So it was pretty cool. Made me think about coincidence, though. Is there really coincidence? Now, what is there underlying? Now, don't think I'm getting all mystical on you. I'm not. But wow, you've had to have had some situations like that. Well, in my teaching of Casey Jones in the Transcontinental Railroad, I had a major coincidence. Now, here's what happened. I was teaching about Casey Jones. Now, Casey Jones was this hero. Now, some people don't think he's a hero because maybe he violated the rules, caused it. But in the end, he decided to stay with his train. Now, let me tell you what happened. Casey Jones was known as the get-her-done guy, right? You get it done. And back office, even though they know he broke the rules, they would call him and say, hey, Casey, I need you to get over here and get on this train and take it in. We're running late. So Casey would, yeah, what's up? You know, I got this. But this day, Casey had worked all day already, and then the back office said, listen, we've got to get along, and you got to get down there. Okay, you got to get it down there, get her done. And he was running passenger trains. Okay, so Casey's on the train, and he's moving along, and he's just chugging and chugging and chugging. And he may be breaking speed rules, but he was fast. He's just one of those guys who got to do whatever he wants, right? So moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. Okay, so as he's moving along, he looks over and he sees there's a train on the track. Not only is there one train, but there's 3 trains that the station's going into, but one is on the track. And that train was number 83. Now that's going to be important later, so please just bear with me. Now, he was driving train number 72, which itself alone is not that big a deal, but there's the chances of it being 83 or 72. His personal train, the one that they liked to the Cannonball, was 683. Okay, so we can assume that there were at least 683 trains that were made. So now it's going to come up important in just a few minutes. All right. So Casey knows that he can't stop the train. He knows it. Now, all he had to do was jump off, but he didn't. He turned to his fireman and he said, dude, you need to get off. Just get off the train now. And the fireman said, no, I'm going to help. He said, nope, get off. Now, this is how the fireman reports it. Okay, and then Casey, with his passenger train, knowing he's going to hit, he grabs hold of the whistle. And by the way, he was known for a really extremely unique whistle. They said, here comes Casey, you hear his whistle. So he's yanking on the whistle and he's pulling the brake. He's just pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And then boom! He is the only one killed in the accident. Now, legend says that after the accident, when he pulled his body from there, and by the way, nobody else died. He was able to slow the train down. When they pulled his body out, the legend is his hand was still on the whistle and his other hand was still on the brake. Meaning he was not leaving his post. He was going to do his best to make sure that his people, his passengers, were safe. All right, so this, of course, led into the legend of Casey Jones. There's ballads of Casey Jones, all kinds of songs about Casey Jones. Disney has a really good Casey Jones. If you get a chance, watch it. All right, now here's the cool part. While I'm teaching Transcontinental Railroad, we're all in the classroom. Now I have my students here, and the day before this happened, we sat down and we drew trains. We didn't. What we did was we did charcoal. Now charcoal is coal, and so I was trying to get the message to the kids of what coal is and everything else. We talked about what it's made of carbon and everything else. And then I drew a train, and then they drew a train. Now, so this is really weird. When I was done with my train, I looked at it and I said, this train's not done yet. It needs something. And so I reached over and I grabbed some chalk and I put a number on that train. Well, it just so happens, and I won't tell you her name, one of my students, a very brilliant student, put a number on her train. And we were the only ones in the class, and this is not exaggeration, we were the only ones in the class to do this. Okay? All right. So I fixed them with, when you fix a charcoal paint, you spray it with hairspray and make it so it's not messy. So I put them off to the side. The next day, our air conditioning went out. Well, the workman shows up to fix the air conditioning at the same time. Oh, okay, come on, figure that out. At the same time, I'm teaching trains. I'm just getting ready to get in the lesson. He looks at me and says, sorry, Mr. Peplow, it's going to be loud. And I said, that's no big deal. I'll take him outside. So I ran to the computer, and I had the computer type 2 stories about Casey Jones. Wow, my skin crawls just thinking about it. 2 stories about Casey Jones. And so the first one came out, I just grabbed it. And I did not preview these. I did not preview them. And so we and the students went outside to study Casey Jones. Why? Because I like to give a little history, and it's really an interesting story. So we're going along reading, and the kids are like, when you tell the story, you get them all excited and everything else. And we're sitting there, and then I read Casey Jones was driving his was Cannonball. He was driving that day, as a fill-in engineer, engine 72. Engine 72. And I thought, I'm the leader of the class, and I put 72 on my train. I said, wow, that's, and I've got the picture to show you. Then I remembered that only one other student had given their train a number, and the number was 83. 83. When we read it, 83 was the train that Casey Jones hit. Wow. I can't believe that happened. Now, to make this even better, the girl who had drawn this picture, her name was Chance. Her name is Chance. Chance, what are the chances of this happening? Wow. And what are the chances of me getting one of 2 articles? One article didn't have any information, much information, the other one did. What are the chances of the girl named Chance being one of 2 people, me and Chance, drawing numbers on our trains? What are the chances of her drawing an 83 on hers? What are the chances of me drawing a 72? And it got even better. 2 hours later, there was a report, and nobody was certain this, there was a report that there was a train crash on the Cajon Pass the same day that we were studying train wrecks and Casey Jones. All right, so the whole point behind this is that I sometimes wonder about coincidences. Now, here's the probability of what happened. Okay, there's not much probability in this. And don't think, again, I'm getting all mystical and everything else. I'm saying, wow, can you believe that happened? Well, it's Gary Peplow saying, watch out for coincidences, and you just have a good time.